Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Godzilla podcast. I am Joe.
I'm Drew. Thank you for joining us for the 19th installment in the Godzilla series.
Ooh, we're getting... this is the midway point, or past the midway point of the Heisei era?
Halfway there. Whoa.
And we owe 4 or 5 Patreon episodes.
Along with the long lost Riff Tracks bonus, but that's never... I mean, it will come someday. I don't know why we started this song.
This is a podcast / commentary cast, so if you want to watch the English language dub version of Godzilla and Mothra, The Battle for Earth, a.k.a. Godzilla vs. Mothra, you can do that. This is the 101-minute one. No, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, that's like right in the middle, because I've seen 100 and 102-minute version.
This is...
I'll double check on Wikizilla. Wikizilla says there are two...
Oh, sorry, this is a 102-minute one.
Yay! We got the full one.
Okay.
Two extra Godzilla good minutes, if Godzilla's in it.
And
those 2 minutes.
We will be giving, at the end of this commentary, a copy of Sci-Fi Classics, the 4 DVD set, which includes The Brain That Wouldn't Die, The Giant Gila Monster, Attack of the Giant Leeches, and The Phantom Planet. And if you want this, or if you want anything, well, you can't have this if you aren't already a patron. But if you decide to be a patron, then our monthly giveaway...
that's for you guys.
It could be you. Yeah. It could be you.
I can vouch for 3 of the 4 movies that I like them. They're old. They're cheesy. They're pretty good.
You can go to GodzillaPodcast.com and click on our Patreon link there. If you want to support the show in another way, you can click through the Amazon link. I believe we have a PayPal link as well. We also have a forum there if you want to, but usually...
somebody did put something on there. I might bring it up mid-episode. We'll see how this goes, but...
Mostly you can just tweet us. So
yeah, it's a lot more direct. We check it more often.
You can check how to spell the names in the podcast description, but I am at Joseph DeGolia.
And I'm at Drew Daybell.
And we are going to start our commentary. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm totally ready. I've been ready since we watched this movie.
Do you have a remote?
I am not ready at all because I do not have the remote. Hey, Joe, stall for a minute. Joe's so good at stalling.
We stalled. We're back. We're on the play. We're hovering over the play movie button, and we're going to press it in 3, 2, 1, go.
Guys, we have the Toho Godzilla Collection version, which appears to be it is, Joe, the Toho International English dub. So that line that we'll get to, that you were like, this can't be the one Toho officially released worldwide. It is. She's a woman, and she's single.
She's a woman, and she's single.
Well, it's like she's an archaeologist. She's got a PhD,
that's right.
That's
right.
That, and the other.
She's an archaeologist. She's a woman, and she's single. I believe that's a line. Yeah. It's amazing.
And Joe didn't... I was like, I'm pretty sure when I researched King Ghidorah, they did the same thing with this movie, and we get the Toho International English. They approved that one.
Did you ever see this version of Godzilla vs. Mothra ever?
I had not, but you had. So.
I have seen it multiple times. So
I got no story, and you got a story. Tell us your story.
Well, I can't tell you exactly when, but when I was a kid, this was one of the ones I had rented from Blockbuster.
Yeah.
And I remember loving this one to death. A couple things about it that I had remembered were the amusement park. I remember that set, right? And him lifting up the Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
And kind of the high contrast color, the visual look of this Godzilla film I really liked when I was a kid.
It's really dark at the end, and I enjoy that.
Yeah, a lot of the 70s Godzilla movies that, of course, I watched more of.
Oh, man.
Those were all a little bit more natural color, and these high contrast 90s and 80s movies, of course, it was for a kid who probably watches movies just because things are cool looking.
Yeah.
That was helpful,
for sure.
I think. I do remember, Drew, being sad.
Really?
At the death of Batra at the end of this movie, Drew.
I would be as well, except doesn't Mothra, absorb Batra's powers, apparently?
Well,
So,
I
like, the
don't
essence of
think I
Batra is
really
within Mothra.
understood
me
that
neither.
on this watch either.
Yeah,
So
as
a kid, it was mostly Batra became good, and then Batra died. And it was sad to me. And I may have, this is a faded old memory of mine.
Yeah.
I may have cried.
Trying to think the last movie I cried in.
I may have cried at the end of this Godzilla movie when I was a child.
I got like within tears almost fell on the Florida Project for me. So last movie I cried in. What's the last movie you cried in? Got a good cry on.
Got a good cry on?
Or just a cry, even if it was like a single tear.
Oh, you know what? It's been kind of a while. I don't know.
Just the very final moment, essentially, of the Florida Project got me. Okay. Godzilla versus in Japan, I believe, Godzilla versus Mothra.
I do also remember
Indiana Jones ripoff scene.
Not that it was an Indiana Jones ripoff when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I did not notice that. I just thought it was like this cool. I thought it was like a cool archaeologist thing, and like Mothra being painted on the wall. I thought was a cool image, which I still think is a cool image now. But watching this now, having seen Indiana Jones half a dozen times, you know, this is interesting. This is an interesting opening for a Godzilla movie.
I just never watched those movies as a kid growing up. Indiana Jones. My parents weren't into it, therefore I didn't get to watch them. And I think I've seen every one of them once. I'm not a big. I mean, they're all good.
When did you see them?
Like as a teenager / kind of 18ish.
Oh, Drew, that's a one you need to revisit.
Oh, they're all on Amazon Prime. So I clicked
just
past
to have
them
a darn good time.
The ones that I have been watching. This is so fascinating for our audience. We will get to the movie.
Yes.
90s. Harrison Ford is in like I watched Clear and Present Danger, really cool movie. If these are late 80s, I'm not sure. I haven't watched that, but I started something with Patriot. I don't know.
Patriot
Games.
Patriot Games.
I watched like the opening title to that, but I wanted to start it. Too late.
It sounds like you're way into Harrison.
I'm just like, I want to watch these type of movies. Well, I'm going to continue it. Fell asleep. Okay. Kazuki Omori wrote and directed last two films of the Heisei era, and he wrote this one. In any case, I don't know if he fully wrote it, but he adapted the script, because this was a script for a movie called Mothra versus, and I'll butcher this, it's not...
There's Mothra versus Bagan.
Yeah, Bagan.
And then that project was scrapped and then turned into Godzilla versus Gigamoth.
Mm-hmm. It was scrapped several times, at least 2 or 3 times that I saw, but then once, and the reason it was scrapped is because it was after the return of Godzilla 84. We were thinking, okay, what do we do? Well, let's try something new. Godzilla vs. Biollanta. Movie did not do so swell, so you tried out Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, because polls show Japanese men liked Ghidorah most. And then the reason we got this is because an overwhelming majority, or at least a majority, of the audience going to these movies was women. And according to polls, Japanese women's favorite kaiju in the Godzilla universe was Mothra. Huh. So they just resurrected something that was like 1990-ish when Godzilla vs. Bagan was first brought up, the screenplay. And they're like, nope, we're not going to do that. We're going to do something new. Godzilla vs. Biollanta didn't quite pan out. So like, hey, we got to return to characters people know. And that's also why this film is so, I don't know, there's a lot of influences from the Godzilla vs. Bagan script on this final product that we got. Is the Godzilla vs. Gigamoth essentially Godzilla vs. Bagan's second incarnation of a script?
It was, and I believe it was written by or co-written by one of the effects guys.
Was that the one that you read was supposed to be a Mecha Mothra?
I haven't read anything about it. I just know it exists, and I have Toho Kingdom has released synopses of both Mothra versus Bagan.
That's great. I never check out Toho Kingdom. My usual haunts are Wikizilla, Wikipedia, which is always so factual.
Both Mothra versus Bagan and Godzilla versus Gigamoth.
I need to get on Toho Kingdom.
I have stuff for. So,
because a Mecha Mothra, Joe, for or against it, I'm super anti Mecha Mothra. How bad would that have been after the movie where we get Mecha King Ghidorah suddenly? In the next movie we get Mecha Mothra. It's like, okay, are they just going to turn everything mecha now? I'm really glad they didn't do that. Really glad.
Do you ever end up liking our main character here?
I love our main male character. In this scene is where he first got me. Our main male character was our Indiana Jones dupe, doppelganger, whatever you call it. Japanese version of Indiana Jones for just like a scene. Then, because what he was doing in
Takuya Fujita is the character.
In that Tomb Raider type scenario, he was in Thailand, apparently, and was attempting to steal something from their from a holy site or some temple, and got apprehended mid doing that. So now the other main characters are visiting him in Thailand, I believe it is, in prison. And it's like a Japanese politician, some Japanese bureaucratic person that's coming to talk to him. I don't know that I didn't know at this point that this was his ex-wife, because they're asking him to do a mission that he'll be able to be set free, because right now he's in a Taiwanese prison, and he refuses because he's like, they're just going to let me out anyway. And then they're like, well, no, they weren't actually. You're going to be in here for 15 years. So he hastily says, wait, I'll go with you guys and do whatever mission you want me to do. So basically, they're using him. He doesn't want to do this. But,
and he's got to find the cosmos, is that right?
Mm-hmm, which are our Shobijin, the little fairies from the original Mothra. And
they're back.
Mothra vs. Godzilla, but they're called Cosmos in this movie. Not the Cosmos, just Cosmos. It's really odd. I love the main character, his depiction here, because he is Japanese fusion. He's got this long hair, cool guy, bandana, green shirt. He's Casey Jones from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, who I just loved growing up, idolized that character. And Tommy, the green and white ranger, and later the red, and then the black ranger, but just... He's like a fusion of all these childhood heroes of mine. So, immediately like him.
Is it the sweatband?
It's a lot of things. It's his long hair. It's the green tank top. It's his like confidence, and he's just a cool guy. But I love how he's
great hand acting.
Yeah, that's a great shot that they as they're walking away, saying, "Well, you're going to be in here for 15 years if you don't accept the mission." He's like, "Wait," because they've got him behind bars and are walking away. I love about this movie that you have the dynamic between the two main characters. It's a guy and his ex-wife working together.
Yeah. It's like an odd couple situation.
Exactly.
She's, of course, the stern one, and he's the wild one, and he does turn out to be a big POS later on in the movie.
Oh, he is. Huge. Huge.
Yeah. We got some returning cast members here.
Akira Takarada. Classic character. I remember him most from King Kong Escapes. But then I loved his character in Godzilla vs. Ebirah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But
he's in a lot of movies, though.
It was hard for me to recognize him on this one, I'll be honest. It's been quite a few years since we saw him last.
Face is very different. He is an old man.
Very different. Okay, so Mothra versus Bagan. You're never going to get this anywhere else, folks, unless you go read it.
Yeah.
A large avalanche occurs in the Himalayas, awakening the legendary monster Bagan, and sending it on a wave of destruction.
All I can think of is Bagan.
Bagan, I know. I guess it's Bagan. I guess that's how you would say it, but Bagan sounds better.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, while monitoring the deforestation status in China using the Landsat Global Environment Conference staff member Masato Tezuka discovers a strange object in the depths of Borneo Island. Together with TV director Kenji Endo, photographer Takuya Fujita, and two of the locals, and the other four, they meet up at designated locations and find a giant egg accompanied by two beautiful fairies.
Maybe it's that I like the character of a thief in these movies. In Godzilla vs. Ebirah, Akira Takarada's character was a thief. The main character in this movie is a thief.
Well, one of these people apparently decides to steal the Shobijin.
Okay. And
then Mothra is born.
In this film, it's an underling of a corporate guy. So you get many echoes of the original Mothra movie. Even some scenes are extremely reminiscent, certainly done on purpose.
Mothra goes and stays in a hotel, apparently. What do you call that? Metamorphosizes as Mothra in a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And then go to Bangkok, and Bagan appears, and then the bad person is killed, and then the demon beast fights Mothra, and then there's a whole bunch of I'm sure just all hell breaks loose after that.
In all,
and it would have ended with a teaser of Godzilla surfacing up.
Oh, so yes, because it was still a Mothra standalone.
It was only a Mothra movie.
I believe one thing that I read is another reason they shied away from doing a Mothra movie is because they didn't believe it would gain that much for them internationally. They believed, the executives at Toho believed that Mothra, the character, was born too much out of Japanese culture that it wouldn't sell well overseas. But, I guess Mothra in its final form had only been shown off in one movie to this point? In larval form, it was in not in Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, but so I guess Mothra and Godzilla, Mothra versus Godzilla.
Mothra versus Godzilla, and
I think that's it.
Is that it?
It was just crazy. Also, the fact that Rodan doesn't show up.
I bet we're missing one, but I hope we're not.
No, I really think that's it, which is weird to say. So they hadn't had much evidence to suggest otherwise that Mothra would play internationally. And I mean, at this point in 92, when this is released, your overseas money, even though really this movie only came to America straight to VHS and DVD in 98, you're banking on making money internationally with your film as well.
So we got at least one cast member that's going to return for Godzilla 2000.
Yeah. And I would never have recognized him if Joe had not said, I'm recognizing him in some of these shots.
He is younger and thinner. That's what it is.
I didn't see him as much thicker in Godzilla 2000, but I haven't seen it in a long time. His face...
He's not fat. He's just,
he's
a
just
little
older.
bigger.
He's older, yeah. And people, their
How dare you?
Structure changes. You're the one that said thicker. It's also the beginning of the
jowls.
Beginning of the movie gave me high hopes for the movie. And Joe was like, yeah, it's good. It kind of slows down later. I was like, oh, crap. Because they're on an expedition. Just the three of them out on the island. I am more invested in these three human characters than, I dare say, other than Godzilla 54, and that's in a more serious way.
Really?
Like, these characters provide a lot of entertainment, which is unfortunately unique for a Godzilla movie, that, like, just the human characters are super entertaining.
Huh.
I think so. Because they're trying to explore the island because something was uncovered. They're not sure what. It's a big egg.
So we already...
They got a lot of antics that go on.
We already ripped off the first Indiana Jones.
Yep. Stealing
Raiders of the Lost Ark. And now we're going to hit... now we're going to rip off Temple of Doom.
To really hit home what we're talking about when we say ripping it off, he's in a temple. He pulls back a stone. He's wearing, like, just Indiana Jones gear. And when he steals the artifact... Everything starts crumbling around him in the temple as if it's like rigged to be booby-trapped. And he and he runs away. He barely escapes the temple as everything's falling around him.
Right.
The only thing missing is a boulder, like, rolling after him. Okay, Joe, this is fantastic. They're hanging from a bridge, so echoing more Indiana Jones.
Yes.
And what happens when they fall? The shot cuts to them falling into a studio pool.
Yeah.
They all look so happy as they're falling backwards. It's like music video. Yeah, exactly. Full on smile, jumping backwards into what is so clearly a pool because the entire color of the water changes as they're over the bridge. The water's kind of a murky brown. See, he
is just smiling.
Yep.
Whee!
So silly. And they're in the pool as it shows them underwater, like fall through the water. Then they come up and they're, of course, in a different location. All three of them. And
totally different location right now. Look at that. Water's black.
The breakdown of the businessman, our returning character in Godzilla 2000. He comes out on this expedition in a full suit at the beginning, and then he takes off his suit coat, and then he doesn't have a tie, and then he's just, like slowly breaking him down.
Look at that broad humor going on here.
He's like, well, at least the map's okay. Camera pans a little to he's in a medium shot. Pans a little bit to the right. It's the other two characters like rising up into frame, and they pour the water out of their shoes.
Yeah,
so
well, he was talking about
funny.
going down the river some more. It's just a joke that I don't know. The timing should have been a little faster. But
yeah, it's a little
fine,
too long. It's this whole section, the whole section of their expedition. I love.
It's just all Indiana Jones, man.
It gets a little heavy-handed. No, I'm not talking about, because the message of the film is way like on the. They state the thesis of this film several times, at least 2 or 3 times that I remember. Humans are destroying the Earth, and we need the Earth to return to its natural state. That's like a line that they say in the film. Okay, so at the beginning, I was confused. A meteor falls onto the Earth, and it awakens Godzilla, which is like the title shot as the title appears on the movie. It's great because it's underwater, Godzilla. He's roaring. I didn't notice it until reading up on it. Apparently, they're using the high-pitched roars from the Showa
from the
era.
older, Godzilla movies.
So prior to this point, we've gotten 3 films thus far in the Heisei era, and they kind of deepened his roar, I guess. Like, I don't know if they cut it short, because I think we get the full Godzilla roar, but it's definitely more bellowy. Then in this one, you get classic Godzilla roar. They reverted to that. I think that just shows how much this film is returning to really the series. You could say not its roots, because the real roots are the first film, but the roots of the Godzilla franchise are the Showa era, and that's where he was super popular. They were pumping these movies out over and over and over. So hey, it worked then. Why not do it 20 years later, 30 years later?
Well, maybe they had some fan letters talking about the roar. I have no idea.
I just think it really is like they're just more appealing to, because they mentioned that in things that I read, they said making a child the main character, which I don't see that. I mean, there's a child that has more to do in the film than children have thus far in the Heisei era for sure. But I wouldn't consider their child, this husband and ex-wife, as a main character. Oh, okay. My other misconception was meteor falls down. I thought that meteor contained Batra. No, Batra was just dormant in the Earth.
It's not Space Mothra.
Which
is the next movie.
Yeah.
So, this is one of the parts I remember from when I was a kid, seeing the drawings on the wall of, like, ancient Mothra, right?
As an adult, well, yes, ancient Mothra and a mysterious Mothra-like figure.
What is this other thing?
As an adult, it's like, this is finally setting up the movie.
That's exactly. For me as a kid, I was like, oh my gosh, Mothra's been around for centuries.
Is this our first seeing the like Mothra symbol? I don't remember seeing this symbol in the other.
This is from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Right the light that's coming through the tomb. So our characters have stumbled upon a tomb that has depictions. Ancient.
They were there on the right day, right time at least.
Yep. Art depicting a Mothra-like figure that looks a little scary, versing Mothra.
That's right.
The reason they called this movie Godzilla and Mothra: The Battle for Earth here in the in its release over in the West is because at the time, Mothra versus Godzilla was known as Godzilla versus Mothra here. It's like what people knew it as. So it's like, hey, we got to differentiate this thing. And so that's how they did. I was a little worried in looking up things about the film. If I typed in Godzilla versus Mothra, that it would bring up the 60s film. No, it brought up this one. And I think if you type in Mothra versus Godzilla, other way around, that's going to bring up your 60s movie.
Or Godzilla versus The Thing.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the other title for it.
Or at least American release title.
So Godzilla vs. Gigamoth would have pitted Mothra against Godzilla and an irradiated Mothra doppelganger.
So it would, then that's the one that wouldn't have had Mothra in it. I wonder if it's second form.
No, it would have had Mothra in it as well.
Oh, along with a Mothra doppelganger?
Along with a Mothra, which is similar to this.
Yeah, and at that point,
this one's not Gigamoth. No. This is Batra.
Oh, Batra, portmanteau of battle and Mothra. Batra. It was so Bagan, and then they changed it in either the second or third treatment, just whole changing of this Godzilla versus Mothra versus Bagan script. They changed the name of what would eventually become from Bagan to Badora. And then they're like, that does not sound good in Japanese. Something about the rhythmics in Japanese. Badora doesn't work, so Batra sounds good in Japanese, I guess.
So
wouldn't know.
We got
the Shogun. Cosmos.
We got a picture of Bagan right here.
Yeah, this is one of those lost monsters. There are a few kaiju that the Godzilla fandom considers great but lost monsters, one of which being the sequel to Godzilla vs. Hedorah, or Hedorah X or something. It's the next level, next gen Hedorah. He was like this red, really scary creature. So Bagan, I like the way he looked in that fan depiction, I'm assuming. Joe literally looked up Bagan on Wikizilla, and there's a whole, even though this kaiju never came to fruition, a whole synopsis article on Bagan.
Yeah, he's got like a wolf face.
Mm-hmm.
He's like got a lot of armor, I would say.
Red front, devil horns that are like curved, and then a big rhinoceros pointing nose horn.
So which of the fairies do you prefer, the Showa ones or these ones?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me which I preferred from these two.
Because they're not that similar looking this time.
They won an award for Newcomers of the Year.
Really?
Yeah. I can't remember in what category, but it was over in Japan. Some award ceremony. They won Newcomers of the Year, which I don't know why. I really don't.
Because they were new.
Yeah, but so it had to go to somebody.
I don't know.
Yeah, we've only watched... have you ever watched this in Japanese? Because Joe and I watched this international English
I don't
dub.
think it's available here in Japanese. You could probably get it from sources.
Which is strange to me, because if it's not, all I'm seeing is that this is the uncut version, and people were telling us before we entered the Heisei era, and I was a little worried about it. Make sure you get the Japanese uncut versions. Those Toho Godzilla ones are cut. I haven't seen one that seems like it's cut any minute so far. So, hey guys, I think we're watching the full ones. If we aren't, let us know. This Mothra symbol, though, it's kind of a cross with like a sun around it. I think that's like a creation for this film, because it's going to... I haven't seen the Rebirth of Mothra trilogy, but it's probably going to be heavily featured, this Mothra symbol.
There's an amazing performance you just missed in the English language dub.
There's a lot that we've skipped over because...
What's happening to our planet?
There's so many good lines.
I actually just played a section of the movie.
Yeah, because that was a really good impersonation. I laughed a lot at the English voice acting choices. And, it's enjoyable, though.
Yeah, I think the point. True.
It fits the tone of the film, because the tone... This movie is not
very lighthearted.
Extremely light. And in spite of being like a demon Mothra in this film, lighthearted movie. Terrible Hellbat but lighthearted movie.
Hellbat. Batra is in the sea right now, and he's coming for him. Or he's coming for the egg, I think.
I'm going to give away the very end of the movie right now, which is just still confusing to me, because they reveal that Batra would have saved the Earth from an even bigger meteor that was supposed to come in 1999.
So he needed to kill Mothra.
Now that Batra is killed and Mothra survived, Mothra will protect the Earth from that meteor that's going to come in 1999.
Do you think it's going to be a space Godzilla?
But I don't know,
we haven't seen the sequel to this.
This film, the events in the film take place in 1993, even though this movie came out mid-December of 1992. Okay. So, like a month into the future.
Right.
Joe, then does that mean that Batra was good the whole time? Is that what that means? Because I'm confused.
I don't think...
He doesn't seem good.
I don't think so. I think Batra must have been instinctually... Wow, I can't believe we're getting into this. Instinctually programmed to try to kill Mothra, and then instinctually programmed to then go up in space and stop some meteor from coming down.
But if that is the case...
Or magically programmed, how much?
He's supposed to defend the Earth in 1999. Right now he appears evil. If Mothra and Batra are both programmed, I guess, because that's just their animal instincts are set to do good, as in defend the Earth from a big meteor, why do they have to fight? Did they just not like each other?
I don't know. It was prophesied upon the wall of a cave painting.
And apparently it wasn't just prophesied. That happened, Joe, and that's why Batra's in, like, hibernation, I guess. And then that meteor awoke not only Godzilla, but also Batra. See, I only understood this reading the plot online. Yeah.
Don't admit that.
No, I admit it as a slight to the movie, where it's like, if you can't understand it on the movie.
We missed our psychic. What was she doing? She just in the office looking at stuff?
Is it Kiki?
Yeah, there she is.
Miki.
Thank you.
Great woman who has had less and less to do in each subsequent film. Especially because another thing with the treatment of this script, Joe, the fact that the human characters have so little to do with the monster plot is because the human part of the movie was an afterthought after they just were basically fine-tuning the monster battles.
One of those missiles going after Batra, larvae Batra, just freaking like skips along the water like a stone.
Missiles. It's because they're...
What do you think it's made out of? Why is it doing that?
The flares skip off the studio pool often. Because if it doesn't... If the flare that you shoot off at the Batra miniature that's going through the water, if it doesn't explode upon impact, the thing's going to bounce. And they do many, many missiles, air quotes, that are actually just flares. Wow, let's debunk the effects in this movie. Just bounce off the water. Looks real strange, because if the military shot a torpedo at the ocean and it bounced off...
I mean, that's just asking for trouble.
Oh, I was having flashbacks in this.
Oh, King Kong versus Godzilla flashbacks? Yeah, I understand what you're saying. So they have found the egg of Mothra, and now the business dude's boss, I believe, is the one who's got the order to pull the Mothra egg out.
Yep.
And he's going to sell it for a bunch of money. I don't know why he's doing it. I can't remember. But they're pulling it behind a giant boat, like a giant egg rig.
Is it a big attraction that they were going to set up at the amusement park?
Oh, dude, I honestly do not remember what the point of getting the egg was.
It's just they thought they were going to make money. That was the point.
So they're pulling it behind them on ropes, just like King Kong versus Godzilla. I wonder if you know what'll happen next.
Just like King Kong versus Godzilla. Things will go wrong.
Something will happen. They are at a castle whose name escapes me, even though it's a super famous Japanese castle.
Yeah, many.
But Batra don't give a shit.
That may be. I don't think it's the same one, Joe. But,
I think that might be. I think that's Hajime.
There's an extremely prominent castle that they destroy, and wow, the blending of shots in that is fantastic.
Yeah, the special effects are pretty good until things start falling.
Yes, at that moment, and they almost cover the human characters. I'm thinking of a really big scene in King Kong versus Godzilla where they destroy a castle. They're like squaring off, and the castle's in between them.
It might have been the same castle.
Might have been. Really famous castle, though.
But Batra going through the city, I think, is a pretty cool sequence. He does a lot of good damage.
Oh, yeah. Another great split shot there where, like, tanks, which are actually miniatures, are featured in the same shot. Like, I guess half the screen we're seeing is human characters running along a sidewalk, and then the street is, just miniature tanks gliding by. And they make it look like they're actual size tanks. Did a great job.
So something they added in this one that I didn't notice them add before is like some camera shake. Like when Batra hits something really hard, like the camera will suddenly do a little bit of a shake.
That adds to a lot. Batra attacks with purple lightning from its eyes. How can you not love that?
It's got lightning coming from a few places in this movie, Drew.
Yeah, Batra is awesome. Batra is a good kaiju.
He is a good kaiju.
In both forms. I mean, I could have went the whole movie and had Batra not turn into its final form. I think the Batra larva is that cool. The Mothra larva, hideous, not cool. They don't seem to change it a bit from
don't remind me
from
of that.
the original Showa era. I'm not sure if that was Tokyo Tower, but it's a big tower, and it's interesting to note because Mothra in
Mothra, yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was in Mothra versus Godzilla.
No.
But in Mothra, it lays its cocoon as it enters its second form on the Tokyo Tower.
Yeah.
In this film, it will be in the Diet Building, so both...
The Diet Building does show up later, which is another commonly destroyed thing in the Showa era.
Anytime the Diet Building comes into frame as we're in a kaiju destruction scene, I'm like, go that way. Because it's one of those monuments you want to see destroyed. I mean, I love Japan, but it's a treat to see giant monsters destroy the Diet Building.
Yeah. We'll get our own when they take care of the Twin Towers or something.
Yeah, we'll see what they destroy in the movie next year.
But I loved the design of Batra. I'm surprised he's only in...
Beautiful. Hideous.
Is he only in this movie, or is he in like Tokyo SOS or something? I don't know. I guess
know either. We'll have to find out.
We will have to find out.
I don't ever remember seeing... I don't know. I didn't... Even though I've seen Tokyo SOS and Final Wars, I had never known Batra before, so I wouldn't have recognized him in those films.
Godzilla makes one hell of an entrance in this movie.
Oh, huge entrance. Atomic breath from under the ocean. Oh, we have the sound up a little bit because I'm hearing the Ifukube. Just heard the brrr, wah, 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 wah.
We do. We have big, huge headphones on, so we weren't hearing it before. But yeah, the sound is up a little bit.
We left it on from Godzilla Island.
So yeah, an interesting entrance. I think you pointed out last time, I don't think we've seen Godzilla enter like that before.
No. Just
like shoot his laser up into the sky through the water. Haven't seen that.
Was it not Mothra versus Godzilla where he came up from under the earth? So unique and phenomenal Godzilla entrances in both of these Godzilla and Mothra movies.
And guess what? He's going to attack the egg that's being pulled by the boat that at this very moment no one is going, cut the ropes, you morons, cut the ropes.
It's because...
it takes them like 9 years to be like, oh, we should cut these ropes.
I'll do my best to find the actor's name, but the actor who plays a main scientist character in Godzilla 2000 and is our main businessman in this movie.
Yes.
He's not a bad guy.
No.
He's just trying to make it in the world of business, and so he has higher-ups who are telling him, hey, you should bring this egg for basically tourist attraction purposes and make us some money. So he's going to fight our main character thief here. And, I don't know, tension.
Finally, he tries to stop him. What are you doing? I'm in danger. I got to let the egg go. Yeah, duh.
It's funny because even though he's a businessman, the frame of this
How is this guy not scared of Godzilla, Drew?
He's just that money hungry. How
he just wants to please his boss that much.
This is Japan.
It's not like screw this egg.
I just watched a YouTube video today talking about Japanese business hierarchy because I watched Agretsuko. It's from the people who made Hello Kitty. I can't remember the name of the company at this point, but Agretsuko is a raccoon, a red panda. I think the character. It's cartoon, and the YouTube video was describing how rigid a structure of really you are submissive to your boss and to anyone higher than you in the workplace. And that's just the way it goes. There's a lot of things that can go wrong in a Japanese business workplace where you can get taken advantage of. This man is feeling the strain of being, wanting to move up in the corporate culture, make some money. And that means that he's going to do some morally questionable things, including, as Joe pointed out, almost killing everyone on this boat. Because, Godzilla is going very slow towards that egg. They were able to have a full fight scene, and Godzilla didn't appear to make
he did have plenty of time.
Any progress. I love how far are they out in the ocean, Joe? Because Godzilla's walking. He's not swimming.
Godzilla is really tall.
Okay. This is a strength comparison in Atomic Blast. Godzilla's emotional, head bob movements. How far have we come in animatronic Godzilla head since Return of Godzilla to now? It's almost, it's 8 years? because 84 was Return of Godzilla, and this is 92. The animatronic head of Godzilla looks much better than 84.
I would kind of agree. I think it looks a little better, but in the daylight like this, it looks really fake.
I'm not talking about the face. I like the look of this Godzilla better.
You like the look of this Godzilla? It's
the look of the face. You can even tell.
I do too. I like this Godzilla's look a lot better.
If you get the Toho Godzilla collection, it's a double feature. Got 2 discs. Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah and Godzilla and Mothra: The Battle for Earth come in one Blu-ray pack. Okay. You can see, Joe, the difference in the suit. Look at the chest on that Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, and look at the front of the chest, like how less, it's way less bulky.
It's a little less ape-like.
Yeah, they beefed him up for Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, the Godzilla suit, and, toned him down for this movie. He doesn't have pecs anymore.
So Godzilla, all he's doing right now, fighting with Mothra, or Mothra larvae form, is just lasering him like crazy, atomic breath all over the place.
And the difference in our energy beams strengths is that Mothra larva hatched out of the egg that was on this cargo container. So it's using the ship to protect itself from Godzilla's blast. When Batra shows up, you'll hear our reaction at this. Batra blasts the same cargo container. Godzilla's atomic blasts were not affecting the ship. Batra's lightning blast, but it doesn't blow it up. Right. Batra's blast ripped the cargo container in half, and that is its larva form. So I think that's a great showing of strength of the kaiju.
See, I'm pretty sure it's the word badass and Mothra put together.
I was going to say badass earlier, but because that is what Batra is. So to anyone who doesn't like Batra, I can't understand where you're coming from. It's so cool.
Do people not like Batra?
I haven't heard of a one, but if you're out there, I can see them just being like, it's just evil. It's evil Mothra. What's so cool about it? I guess.
I don't know, the scary rhinoceros thing going through the sea.
The yellow spikes on the head. Yeah. It's spiked along its back. I like the view of it carving its way through the ocean with its horn. The eyes are glowing red, and I believe there are glowing red dots on the side of this larva form as well. It's much bigger than Mothra. It just lifted it up through the air and threw it. So prior to the metamorphosis of Mothra, the Mothra larva versus the Batra larva really is just no match. See, it blows that container apart. There are pieces of it flying everywhere.
It's just shooting at Godzilla. So we got our first...
A wonderful comparison of strength.
We got one of 2, I think, big fights between all 3 of the monsters.
I guess Godzilla's atomic blast at that point, for some reason, he strengthened it up and really set the cargo ship on fire.
He decided it was time.
He's like, I'm not fooling around no more.
But now he's... Batra's going to ramming speed, but lifts up right in time.
He could spear Godzilla.
He could.
Other differences...
Man, he's a lot bigger than I thought he was.
He's huge. He nearly... He just slams Godzilla to the bottom of the ocean, which apparently they did this with the camera was put to a glass aquarium, and they filmed through that. This looks like an effect, but I guess it wasn't, which is crazy to me. Somebody put online that it was an aquarium filled with fish that they filmed it through. No, because the fish would not be to scale in any way, and that would just muck up the shot.
No.
But it just looks like an effect.
It looks like Day for Night, and then another piece of film with a bunch of bubbles on it superimposed on top of it.
That's what it does.
If not the pieces of animation, I'm not even sure. But Day for Night is when they light it really blue, and they film it in slow motion with a lot of fans going. This is usually when a person's in there. I guess we got.
Wait, is that Day for Night or Day for Wet?
I'm sorry, Dry for Wet.
Dry for Wet. Sorry, because film it blue. Yeah, because I was like, underwater, it's going to be blue.
Film it blue with all soft light and
simulating light through the ocean.
They do it. They do it all the time. The opening of that Guillermo del Toro movie that came out, that was all Dry for Wet.
The other, which one was that? Shape of Water?
Shape of Water, yes.
I still haven't seen it. I really want to see that movie.
That was all Dry for Wet stuff, and it's done really well. This is Dry for Wet plus a filter.
It's a lot, Joe. It's a lot. It's an extensive battle here that we see, and Godzilla, Batra being just huge. I like that we finally get to see, since Godzilla has grabbed Batra's tail and is lifting it up, slamming it into the ground, we get to see the full Batra larva up to this point. Even when it's out on land, you don't really see the body as much because it's covered up by like the buildings. Looks millipede or centipede. I don't know the difference, but it's got a lot of legs off to the side, and they're all like spikes.
They're really strong.
It's
they
just
can make them swim.
Spikes. Yeah.
The thing that gets me, he looks, because he's all flat on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of like a trilobite.
Oh, gotcha. Godzilla and Batra's battle underwater opens up a crack in Earth's tectonic plates.
That's right.
And they fall into the Earth. This was something I didn't mention in the last film, but in the research for the really wonky time stuff in Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, somebody pointed out, and this doesn't have to do with the time stuff, but it was just in that article, a not very often noted feature of these movies is Godzilla's ability to go from one place to the next without being able to be tracked. This is a very big feature of Godzilla in this movie, like as in the humans are trying to track where he's at, and they just do not possess the capability of doing so, so he disappears and just shows up wherever he wants to. He and Batra fall into a crack in the Earth, and later on, he just comes out of a volcano somewhere. Like, Godzilla...
he goes through the tunnels, makes all the right turns, and like... it's hot in there.
Gosh, it's like a sauna. It was really stretching the limits of my Regenerator G1 that doesn't exist yet.
Not yet, man. But I do know a character in this movie that's going to find out about Regenerator G1, right?
Somebody tweeted you're right, a certain main character of this film that will become a
Regenerator G1 here.
Joe, give us the line.
Regenerator G1. You discovered it. You ought to name it.
Regenerator G1.
Regenerator G1. Regenerator G1.
There's a slightly longer pause between the laugh because it's just long enough to make it awkward. It's because of scenes like this. Once Godzilla's apparently gone, Batra's gone, the larva Mothra, who knows where that's at?
The movie's at a standstill.
They've secured they've secured Cosmos, and if this didn't drag on, I feel like this is where the movie gets a little too intimate, in that it's okay to have your characters being goofy with the ex-wife and main character, former husband. But, I feel a little uncomfortable when and I feel real bad, Joe. I don't know if the film was supposed to make me feel that way. When he runs away from his child at the airport.
Yeah, I hate that scene. Like,
I hate it
piece
too.
Of crap.
That's the point where I'm like, this guy doesn't deserve redemption, and he just gets it at the end. I don't feel like he earns his redemption at the end, and that's just me. I don't know about you guys.
So this movie was a gigantic hit, apparently.
Huge.
The biggest film from Japan of that year.
Unadjusted for inflation. Adjusted for inflation, King Kong versus Godzilla beats it out.
Unadjusted Shin Godzilla, this is second.
Yes, you're right. At that, most sources don't even cite Shin Godzilla yet. Wikizilla updates their stuff and said exactly unadjusted.
Well, I had to do some
after Shin
things where I was
Godzilla.
like, that doesn't sound right.
So
right
it was approximately 20 million at the time. So I wonder what that is adjusted for inflation today. Apparently, Shin Godzilla still beats it out, and I think Shin Godzilla made somewhere around 70 to 75 million, and that was in Japan. That's a lot of dang money in Japan. Many people went and saw Shin Godzilla many times.
I saw it. Saw this movie.
Yeah.
And I saw Shin Godzilla.
I just like that
this part where they have just no morals about kidnapping two... I mean, they're tiny, but they are still people.
Yeah.
I think two little Cosmos women.
Before we get past it, but... his name, the actor's name, he was the comedian from original Mothra. They tried to get him to come back for this movie. Name was Senichiro Fukuda. Actual comedian, like Japanese comedian, big at the time of Mothra's debut, the standalone film Mothra in like late 50s, early 60s. And they wanted to get him to come and at least have a small part or show up for a moment. but the actor's schedule prevented it. He was like my favorite part, possibly, of the original Mothra movie.
Not New Kirk City. That's not your favorite part. Oh.
See, he's kind of made it a version, Joe, because for a minute, our main character, thief dad guy, had some redemption. He saved the crew of that ship from destruction from Godzilla and Batra as he let loose the Mothra egg. And he looked different, Joe. His hair was a little different. I looked shorter. I don't think he was wearing his bandana. I could have been wrong, but like from the look of the character, looked as if he had made a change. Here in the airport, he's back to bandana, back to his hair looking a little longer. And that's when he becomes a douche.
That's right.
He leaves his little girl.
It's the super douche time.
And I also didn't understand. I think that actress, Joe, was like Mickey's mentor in Godzilla vs. Biolanta. She looks so familiar.
Yeah.
That's this woman and an older man that's meeting the ex-wife and the thief with their daughter at the airport. The guy is gone. Our thief has fled because he is a bad guy.
We can't remember his name. Our thief has fled.
He's just beyond redemption.
He is.
Yep.
So apparently Ishiro Honda visited the set before dying.
Very sad. It's
shortly before his death.
It's heartwarming to hear, but sad.
I wonder what that was like. They were like, oh, we're just going to have a special day where we're going to bring over one of the old guard.
That's exactly. I was about to use the phrase old guard because speaking of old guard in the Godzilla movie franchise, Ifukube scored the whole film.
Ifukube back to scoring the movie. And it's a great score as well.
The film greatly benefits from Ifukube's score.
See, now I'm excited here. I want to see the eruption. I can't remember if we actually get to see it.
I think it's building to it at this point, and you're right. It's unfortunate that the film lulls in its pacing so much.
It does. It really does.
And it's slow.
Because the monsters aren't there, man.
Well, but that's the thing is our humans were so entertaining at the beginning because they're getting into hijinks on their little on their wildlife excursion, and then they're just back to real life where people are boring and things are hard because fathers don't want to accept their children. You know, I don't have any sympathy for Cosmos, these two little girls, because they could have at any point told Mothra, hey, stop doing what you're doing, as in destroying the city. Like, it's only until the little girl, which I guess that's the only time she's made a main character, tells them, hey,
Mothra. Sorry.
You should get Mothra to stop doing what it's doing and destroying things.
This version of Mothra larvae form is the most disgusting version so far.
It's because it's in the 90s, so you got better special effects, but they don't change the design of Mothra larvae.
KY jelly all over it.
It's the eyes look gross. Everything looks
so
gross.
Shiny and
you can't get past the design of Mothra larva.
It's not just a turd anymore. It's a wet, fresh turd.
It's a very well sculpted, well shot turd. It's just so...
It's the ugliest thing. Why can't we have a cute larvae form?
I described to Joe...
We get the prettiest Mothra of all time in this thing.
If I were to write a screenplay for a Godzilla movie with Mothra would hatch in silhouette, and you would see in shadow lit the larva change immediately. It would come out, so you'd see the silhouette of the larva change to Mothra immediately, and you never have to see the larva.
Never.
You can see its shadow silhouette. That's it. I don't want to see it.
Or just redesign the freaking turd thing.
I really thought they would have, but I guess they wanted to harp on nostalgia. That's one point where I would say don't harp on nostalgia because it was gross to begin with, and we don't want to bring that into the 90s, but they did. One thing that we pointed out about Miki, it's just done so quickly that you don't really... You said you never noticed it when it's like all-girl cast driving around in a car, the little girl, ex-wife, and Miki. Miki senses something about Godzilla and tells him which way that the ex-wife lady should drive. Yeah, that would be weird if you didn't know that she was psychic because it's really not brought up in this movie. And I believe there's a small tidbit of something in Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah where she does about the same thing. they don't full on bring up psychics in the movie, or that she is, or that psychics exist, but she has kind of a, I want to say in Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, it's when she's in a helicopter and she senses something. But there is another instance, I swear, in the last film where she shows off her psychic abilities without ever anyone going, oh yeah, she's a psychic.
I read that, and I know actually that there is no mecha contraption on any of the monsters in this movie.
What do you mean? Oh,
so there was some sort of mecha thing
in every film before this. I was like, what about Heisei? Sorry, what about Heisei? Yeah. What about 84?
84.
And Biolanta. What was mecha in there? Are they counting the brand new
I guess
laser beams that were attacking Godzilla in 84? And in Biolanta, are they counting the lightning field?
Are they counting...
Because the mecha is obviously...
SpaceX or whatever that thing is called.
It's obviously Mecha King Ghidorah in the last film, but I'm so glad that in the thing that happens in these Versus era, they all have like a more powerful form, all the bad guys that they
Maybe that's
show
what they
off.
meant. It was another form.
But
they have new forms in this one, too. They always
I'm just very glad that they didn't do the Mecha Mothra, because for me, Mothra, and I think I hope that I'm speaking for the fandom here in that I can echo our sentiments. Mothra is not a physical combatant. It's a, like, blast you with air, maybe some, like, a Pokemon move, poison powder, use, like, powder-based moves on you. In this film, it apparently absorbs some Batra powers and can do some lightning in addition to its powder that it, like, sprays out and creates force fields. But the thing that it is not... It does not need mechanical enhancements because it's not a brawler monster. If any, Batra, which again goes along with how well Batra fits in with being opposite Mothra, that thing's spiky and could be very dangerous to, like, you know, grapple with, even though it can also fly. Coolest thing, Joe? Batra transformation. That thing doesn't need a cocoon. It wills itself into turning.
It's too good for that.
Little old Mothra in its larva form.
Pretty sure the thing...
period of gestation in order to transform into a beautiful butterfly.
I can't believe at all that Batra ever lost the fight to Mothra, ever. Yeah, this is the part where she does their...
Mickey, like...
I can hear it. I can hear their song. Oh, my gosh.
I guess it would just be that... Because I guess she's sensing... where the... I'm just going to call him Shobijin because screw saying Cosmos. That's so weird. I hope they're going to do that.
Cosmos train. I got it. Cosmos.
Is that what they're going to call him in Rebirth of Mothra?
Yeah, I cannot remember.
I just think... Wait, when is the first Rebirth of Mothra? Can you...
Soon.
Okay, but like it just feels like they're setting up some lore to go into those films.
I think they might be, or you know, or they retrofitted it. I don't know.
So glad that they had a Godzilla and Mothra movie because it's one of the best, if not the best, verses in the Showa era, and like it just, I love seeing Godzilla and Mothra side by side. They complement each other so well. It's a beautiful thing to see Godzilla and Mothra, one movie.
Well, one's like lizardy and scaly and one's big and, you know, like buff, I guess.
Yeah.
And then the other one is just elegant and
beautiful bug-like.
Yeah. Bug-like, furry, and yeah, much more pretty, I guess. So
they complement each other so well.
I got the box office thing here by tickets sold.
Yeah,
Mothra vs. Godzilla sold 4,200,000 tickets.
Wasn't it like 12 million, I think, for King Kong?
King Kong vs. Godzilla was 12 million.
Okay. And that's number one. That's the most attended.
That one's the most attended, followed by Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and Godzilla, the original, as one unit. So I'm not sure. There were like multiple releases of that, so I feel like that's cheating. Godzilla Raids Again did really well with 8 million tickets sold. And then Shin Godzilla is the fourth in terms of tickets sold.
Which is how many?
5,690,000.
I would have guessed like 7 or 8.
So Godzilla vs. Mothra is sixth in terms of that. In terms of money, unadjusted, it's second. But yeah, adjusted with ticket sales, it's
second
fifth.
Unadjusted?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, it did pretty well.
So glad that Shin Godzilla did so well and is a very good movie. Thank you, Anno and crew, for Shin Godzilla.
It did. It sold like 1 million more tickets than Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah did. Which is our last one. That was
considered a big success.
Yeah, I guess it did better than Biollante.
Charlie horse.
Drew's having a Charlie horse and is dying, as far as I can tell. It never feels good. We can't stop the movie, Drew. We can't do it.
I'll just bring the mic to me because I can't move my leg right now. My entire thigh muscle, like at the bottom part of my thigh, just seized up. Huge Charlie horse. So here we are. Haven't had one of those in probably a year.
Get some calcium in you, man.
Dude, or it's potassium.
Is it potassium?
I eat a banana every day. I might have too much potassium.
I thought it was calcium.
I heard that there's potassium in potatoes, which is weird. But yeah, I eat a banana every morning for breakfast. But maybe I'm getting an overage of my potassium count. So
maybe.
Is it the character of the thief dad who stole the Cosmos? Did he steal them?
Would you call that stealing?
He's trying to... Is he returning them or is he doing it for selfish reasons? Is he actually doing it for... I thought he was doing it because he's a thief and he's going to like sell them. That's what I thought he was doing.
Oh boy, I do not know the details on this.
In any case, he stole the fairies from the business people who... Their consolation prize was these Cosmos because they couldn't get the egg. It hatched into Mothra, and you can't really contain Mothra, at least not with the technology they had at the time. I think his wife is a real cutie. She just looks so cool in that yellow suit jacket. We were talking about the suit jacket worn by Miki's mentor in Godzilla vs. Biollante, and a big time 90s tip off is an oversized suit jacket with a female, but she was wearing it with mom jeans, the Miki's mentor. Mm-hmm. This lady's wearing it in full business attire.
So she's got a skirt. You're now going with my mom jeans.
Oh, I've always loved mom jeans. That was my...
Oh, you've loved mom jeans.
Yeah, I'm still for... I'm pro mom jeans.
You're pro mom jeans.
Yep.
Okay, but you're okay with calling them mom jeans now. I feel like
when I call them,
they're high-waisted jeans, and I was like, no, those are called mom
Joe,
jeans.
I gotta use what everybody's calling them in order to clarify to people.
No.
Yes,
let's
because
stop doing the change the definition of a word every 5 years thing. You gotta wait a little longer than that. They're
I'm
mama
not
jeans.
changing the definition.
Jeans.
I'm calling them mom jeans because that's what everybody knows them as.
That's right.
You say high-waisted jeans, and people are like, oh, you mean mom jeans? Yeah, sure, I'll just call them mom jeans, whatever. So Mothra is currently destroying the building that the thief, the wife, and the child are in. And this is the point where I am saying, Shobijin Cosmos, whatever, stop Mothra. Like, they would squish...
Stop it!
They would squish the Shobijin.
So did Miki just, like, drop him off?
Yeah, I get... No, Miki was in the passenger seat. Yeah.
She's there. Okay, so she showed up. She just wasn't there when they had their conversation.
You want to know a funny... We'll find out, guys. Godzilla fandom. Apparently, there's some spreading of rumors from a cast member or someone on Godzilla King of Monsters, our 2019 American Godzilla film, that there is a character in the movie that will have a mental link with kaiju. So people are really hopping on that, either being hot or cold on whether or not that's true.
Dude, are you ready for this? Are you ready for this tidbit of information?
I am, Joe. Lay it on me.
Tetsuya Bessho, who plays Takuya Fujita, our thief in this movie. I don't know if you're ready for this, Drew. He played Jean Valjean in the Japanese production of Les Miserables from 2003 to 2011.
Holy cow.
That's what it says.
How can you do that?
I can't be 100% on this, but that's what it says.
How can one man do that part for 8 years?
Well, how long was Jean Valjean in prison?
Oh, God. But I'm just saying 8 years is a long time for the human, for your vocals to change.
I want to hear him sing now.
For your appearance to change. Because we're seeing him here in 92. So you said what? 2000?
It could have been 2003 and 2011.
I hope it's both. I hope he made because otherwise that's a long time.
Well, he has other theatrical credits in between, so it's obviously not one giant run.
Yeah.
I like to think of it that way. He played the engineer in Miss Saigon as well. The theater version of When Harry Met Sally, he played Harry. This guy is a theater dude.
If you're dispelling cool facts from the film, the director of this movie, Joe,
7 movies here.
His first time directing, and it said directing, but it was in Kagemusha. I would think he would have been an assistant director unless he was just helping out Kurosawa.
Okay.
Wikipedia, so always reliable,
yeah, that's
right?
The super reliable Wikipedia, yeah.
Director of this film, what's his name, if you can find it?
Takao Okawara.
So he started out in Toho 60s, 70s, something like that?
He started out in 73.
Okay. Didn't get his break till Kagemusha.
Yes. He didn't get his first shot 4 years
He's
later.
He's going to be directing this movie, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, and Godzilla vs. Destroya. Also directed.
This was his second movie. It looks like his first movie was Reiko the Psyche Resurrected. And then it was Godzilla vs. Mothra, and then Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. Later, Godzilla vs. Destroya and Godzilla 2000.
But look at the top. The top, not the filmography there, but it says something about Kagemusha. I was confused.
He joined Akira Kurosawa and Toshiro Honda on Kagemusha. My assumption is that he was the AD.
Gotcha. That's what I thought too.
He could have been second unit director, but that was also Toshiro Honda was second unit director on those movies.
I thought he was just assistant director.
Yeah, but he did a few shots. If you read the autobiography of Kurosawa, he talks about when he would send Toshiro Honda off to go get some footage.
Mothra starts destroying parts of the Diet Building, not the main structure of the Diet Building, which up to this point, I think my favorite destruction of the Diet Building is King Kong versus Godzilla. I don't know how much it's destroyed, but I remember King Kong being suspended.
Yeah.
Yes. See how, oh man, what a beautiful depiction of like King Kong on top of the Empire State Building and then King Kong around the Diet Building. Just great side-by-side imagery.
I believe that the best destruction of the Diet Building is in 54.
It's the best, but I still think my favorite is just King Kong because it just is silly to me to see an American-made monster like right outside the Diet Building. It's like Japan has taken over giant monsters. Like they own giant monsters, and they're taking the one that started them all.
Mothra never starts a cocoon at any other time of the day except for sunset.
It's got to be the right time.
It's got to be when the sun is in that golden hour.
Mothra larva is temperamental.
That's
it's a
right.
Real sensitive being.
Do you think it was on purpose that they wanted to just match so many things about Mothra and Mothra versus Godzilla?
Oh, certainly. They have a whole list of things that they match at the bottom of the Wikizilla article for this movie. So look that up, people. There's several of them. I might mention a few. Like this is one, obviously. And okay, Joe, one of the funniest conversations I think we had when we were watching this film the first time is Mothra larva first emerges from the egg, is versing Godzilla out in the ocean. Mothra larva starts spewing its what's this? It's
stuff.
Goop.
It's
cocoon spray.
It's webbing.
Yes, that's the word I was looking for. It's webbing all over Godzilla, and I'm thinking Godzilla's going, not again, no. And you're like, remember, Mothra versus Godzilla didn't happen in this timeline, so it's like
This is a new
but
thing.
It's so embedded in Godzilla that he's having like. He's like, I swear, this has happened to me before, like in another dimension where the Showa Godzilla timeline.
At one point, I feel like I'm getting a memory from a different lifetime.
I'm having PTSD, and this happened in a different dimension.
So
not the same Godzilla.
This is the Godzilla from the previous movie.
Yes.
as opposed to the Godzilla from 84.
What happened at the end of the last movie? Godzilla just went out into the ocean?
Yeah.
Oh, he was dropped into the ocean.
He was dropped into the ocean.
Okay, so he is awakened
and
again.
Then he immediately fell asleep and then was awakened in this movie.
There didn't seem to be a reason why he would stop his destruction, because it didn't seem like he was really hurt a lot by Ghidorah.
Let's figure out how many Godzillas we've gone through. 2. Godzilla 54 is 1. Godzilla 84 is the next one, right? Because these are now all chronological. These apparently happened.
And to me, if I'm reading Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah right, the Godzilla 54, 84, it's the same Godzilla. I don't think he died. Could be completely wrong.
No,
there.
he died. He died. There was another Godzilla was made and woke up, right? Or some crap.
I think the 54 and the 84 one are the same, which is
they're
insane.
Not.
They're not.
No, he turns into skeleton at the end of 54.
Yeah, but nobody saw that, Joe.
Yeah, they did say it. They say saw it. We saw it. We all freaking saw it. And then Godzilla vs. Biollante is still the 84 one.
Okay.
And then he,
which is the 54 one.
He disintegrates with the stuff, but he's gonna wake up later. And so they stop that Godzilla from happening in that timeline.
I don't think that's...
But then a different Godzilla is born anyway.
I don't think it's a different Godzilla,
You don't think so?
Because the thing is, and that's what's confusing, we still didn't get it from Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. We're never going to get over that freaking movie.
Never going to get it.
When they try to create Godzilla again...
I think we're on Godzilla number 4.
I think we're at
Go ahead.
1 or 2. When they try to create him by smashing the nuclear sub into where they thought the unmade Godzilla was, the already Godzilla shows up to take the impact of the nuclear sub, which made him get over his anti-nuclear bacteria from Godzilla vs. Biollante.
That's a really sinister looking shot. I love the lava behind it.
In
Makes
the back,
him look even more evil.
More angry. His lava is we are, of course, talking about the boss of this.
Yeah, and the other guy was like, it's destroying the Earth, and he quits.
They're almost less of an... Okay, they I was about to say they're not an evil corporation, but they do steal the cosmos, so they're evil.
Yeah, but then they promised to pay them. So I'm wondering if they I don't get the Cosmos relationship. The Cosmos don't really have a good point of view here.
They thought for a moment, but it's not very fleshed out, that they were going to use the Cosmos to make money, and I assume that would have been akin to Mothra versus Godzilla, or in Mothra, where they put them on a Broadway type show that was on television. The visuals here
versus King Ghidorah.
Godzilla's coming up from a volcano. Everything's red and smoky. There was lightning flashing. It's a wide shot. It's just fun.
It's sweet.
Ooh,
it's pretty sweet.
So good. I like the Godzilla face here. The fins on the head to the back of the neck don't seem as prominent in this suit. The dorsal spines, the big spikes on his back, apparently they took the largest dorsal fin, and put it a little lower on his back for this suit. The other one,
balance him out a little bit, maybe.
Possibly, because when you have the largest spike a little higher on the back of his, basically nearer to his shoulders, he's not as balanced. Yeah, I don't know. Design choice.
I don't know.
Design choice.
I do think this is the best looking Godzilla so far in the Heisei era.
What they're doing here is exactly what they did in Godzilla vs. Biollante, where we're watching a 3D model of so our military/politician characters are all viewing Godzilla through monitors, and it takes us on a 3D view from their base through where Godzilla is, which is
that's right,
both a city and then through the amusement park, and it's all done in 3D modeling. Then it comes up to Godzilla 3D model version, changes to actual live action Godzilla suit actor, and they did that in Biollante through the minefield. That's where they can create artificial lightning.
What's funny to me is it looked like it had some sort of heat signature thing on the screen.
Yeah,
it's not picking up any of the volcano.
Oh yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, it just would be a red. It would be a purple.
It would just be a big red mess.
It would be from I think the hottest would be white. So it's like white, red, orange. You can like barely make out Godzilla.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I love the lights on these actors simulating a volcano. They're looking down from a helicopter in, the story of the movie, but like they're just flashing red lights. I'm guessing it's a red light that they're waving something in front of.
That's exactly what's happening.
Yep. So
exactly
cool,
what's
though.
happening.
And then you have an actual helicopter shot, which is great.
It's great to have real stuff.
Real stuff in a movie, not little miniatures. No trick photography there. Oh, whatever this is taken from. Godzilla's knocking down some power lines. Joe, compare his size to early to mid-Showa era. Okay, this Godzilla is much larger than those power lines in this. Even in 54, I think, is where they used the first time they used power lines to try to take him out. And scaled Godzilla is like, on par with the power lines, not too much bigger. He might be bigger, like look down on him. Those power lines went to like this Godzilla's crotch. Like his legs were as big as those power lines. So I'm assuming that from 54 to the 90s, power lines haven't changed much in height. Godzilla's gotten a lot bigger. A lot bigger.
That's why he's a different Godzilla, Drew. He's just a bigger Godzilla.
He gained 20 meters in from absorbing the stuff from that nuclear sub. Hey, you guys, tweet at us. Get us confused just as much as the whole fandom is confused.
Here we go. The super sparkly Mothra.
But to explain the Showa era Godzilla, that's definitively two Godzillas, right? Because 54 leads directly to Raids Again, which in Raids Again, they're like, hey, it's another Godzilla.
Yeah, it's a separate Godzilla.
But that's the only other Godzilla that shows up in
that's the only Godzilla in the Showa era that gets an explanation.
But I'm just saying then that's... But we're assuming that one that shows up in Raids is the Godzilla that's in every other Showa film. I assume so.
He does wake up. They tried to stay with a continuity, and then in Destroy All Monsters, they went into the future.
Oh, yeah. Well, Godzilla is ageless, so he can be in any time and look about the same. Watch our animated films that are coming out because Godzilla truly is ageless.
My assumption is that
1,000 years in the future and Godzilla's still back on Earth.
Yeah, that's all the Raids Again Godzilla. The separate Godzilla. It was also birthed. There was just like an island of dinosaurs, and they blasted that thing with atomic energy, and that's what happens, man.
Do you personally see any reason why these Cosmos should win a Newcomer of the Year?
Well,
was it just a year where there isn't much competition?
A lot of acting performance has to do with use of language and like verbal tone and stuff like that.
Oh, so can't tell.
There's no way for us to really tell what is a great performance in Japanese.
Hey, if all they did was sync up their audio, then I would say give them Newcomer of the Year because there's at least a small section of flub in this where the English speaking are a little out of sync for the most part. I think for some of the lines, it's just one of them speaking, which I'm like, thank you, you learned from your mistake. Because in original Mothra, English dub, I don't know if we were listening to the international Toho English dub, it was real painful on the ears. So that was my first, having never seen this movie, I was like, Joe, do they talk in unison and actually do it well? I don't think it
was Godzilla versus Mothra as much as it was Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, when they show up again.
I don't believe... Were they even...
The Cosmos show up. That's the one where they have the special performance.
I didn't remember that in Ghidorah, them and Ghidorah, the three-headed monster at all.
They're in it.
Okay. You remember better than me.
It's not that I remember. I revisited something about that movie and remembered that, oh yeah, they were doing a big performance. But yeah, I want to describe this Mothra.
It's phenomenal.
It's fuzzy.
It's like carpeted.
It's super fuzzy. I would say the 70s one was carpeted, or 60s one was carpeted. This one is like
when you go
plush,
plush Mothra,
shiny, and
then it has
sparkly.
A very, very plastic tip to its tail. Like it looks like you just took.
Yeah.
Batra literally rises from the ocean and wills itself into its second form.
That's right. Now it's a hell. Now it's a hell bat.
Oh, it's like gross awesome. It looks like some. Okay, the 90s were a time when gross things for kids were popular. Like if it was
like green ketchup.
Oh, yeah, and you had purple ketchup as well. But just also in toys and things in general. Gross was cool. Nasty was awesome. I guess it's...
Slime. You get slimed at the MTV Awards. MTV Kids Awards.
Nickelodeon, yeah.
What was that? Was that Nickelodeon?
They're coming back with, like, slime stuff. They have
Slime the Celebrities.
I keep getting all this Twitter promotion, like Double Dare for Nickelodeon, where they are sliming people. And I'm like, you can still legally slime people? Like, nobody's going to sue anybody. I guess... You know, they have to sign something to be on the show, but somebody slips and breaks like their neck, some child.
There's also when we were kids, they had those little like toy animal things you'd get from like 7-Eleven or whatever.
Yeah.
You poke your finger in a hole and it would make it look like they're pooping.
What?
You don't remember that?
No, not at all.
Oh, dude. Oh man, I wish I remember what those things were called, because then I could find them for you.
The 90s were a time of
I'm just giving you more examples of this crap.
Gross, scary, colorful stuff. Like, yeah, if you could make it more neon and like creepy looking, it appeals to kids in the 90s.
Yeah, dude, it appeals to me now. I think the Batra design, both forms, are freaking sweet, in my opinion.
Street Sharks, they were a knockoff of like TMNT, but so Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But yeah. There's an epitome of, and another one was like the Biker Rats from Mars. Yeah.
Biker Rats from Mars.
I played that video game. It's something along those lines.
Here we go. We're approaching the final act of this movie.
And I don't know why they had to do it at night, because when it's not a shot like we just saw where Mothra is blue screened in, and honestly, a lot of the Mothra movement of its wings are done really well in those blue screened in shots, and because it's against the night sky, you can blue screen, or it's the 90s, they're probably green screen it in well without seeing any of the, like, I don't know, Joe, what do you call it, like clipping, I guess, of the wings, where it just doesn't look right on the outside of the image that they're superimposing on. These kids that are running away from the monsters.
They're having a great time, Drew.
Yep, you get several shots of people running away from monsters, and they are just rejoicing. They're so joyous to be running away from monsters.
We get to be in a movie.
Speaking of the main character's reactions to monsters and cosmos and all this like wacky stuff in the film, apparently some critics, or at least fans, said, why don't they react much to this stuff in the film? The director of the film just said, well, it's a monster movie, isn't it? So I guess by interpreting that remark, the characters in the movie should be aware that monsters exist in their universe.
Yeah.
So it's just a thing.
It's just a thing. You know, get out of the city or else you're dead.
There's so much, again, with it being the 90s, there's so much like
that one.
Namco, which would eventually become Bandai Namco, which I believe not only does video games, I think it's also, it's like video games and toys, but you get a lot of Namco advertising in this film, both on the television screen we just saw as people were running away from the monsters, and in billboards / like neon signs across the skyline when monsters are just destroying everything.
We're getting some pretty good Godzilla footage here, Drew.
Great.
I like night stuff in the Godzilla franchise.
Low angle Godzilla shots.
Because Godzilla looks better at night.
Mm-hmm. What I'm saying, why it's unfortunate that it's at night for all of these monsters, is that when Mothra, Batra, not green screened in, you see strings. There are strings quite often on these flying monsters, but I just find it so appropriate. Like in my head, when you think two flying monsters duking it out at night, I don't see it working out super well, or two flying monsters fighting. Period. Same with the King Ghidorah battling Godzilla, because Ghidorah does not move very much. He's pretty much stationary, but it works really well. So they pull it off.
I think out of all the flying stuff, I mean, this isn't super convincing, but out of all the flying battles in all the movies so far, this one's the best one.
Oh, by far. Because they
the
use
lasers,
a lot of different
the way
shots.
they hit each other, they're using a little bit more variety in the shots. I just remember in Godzilla vs. Mothra, there's like one part where the camera is sped up.
Oh, yeah.
And Mothra and Godzilla are just like They're just like hitting each other in chaos, and it didn't quite work for me.
You said one of those rare instances of them cutting that shorter in the American version. And
it was an improvement,
better.
Yeah.
And also, Mothra gets downed so quickly here. Like, Mothra...
That's because Batra is better.
Much better. Batra better.
Batter.
Batra up.
Batter Mothra. Batra.
Batter Mothra.
Batter Mothra. Yes.
I'm in Batra camp. I'm glad that you told me, I think prior to Batra even showing up on screen, you're like, I got to tell you, don't knock me for liking Batra. I'm with you. And you had childhood memories of Batra.
That's right.
I see nothing
mostly
wrong.
Of this sequence.
Huge miniature set.
Yes.
Huge
very
miniature
impressive.
set. And
very well lit. I like it.
Impressively done from the angle of the... we saw a lot of people running away from where the monsters are now fighting. And like the camera's able to move, able to show off much in wide shots where we see the whole city... Ferris wheel, a huge skyscraper next to Godzilla, which this just seems to be a thing in the Heisei era. But Godzilla being scaled to the skyline, yes, but at the same time, so often he's next to a building that is many times larger than Godzilla. Yeah, I don't know why the choice of that, but
yeah, I don't know either. I guess it's because, like, that's his size, and this is where it's shooting at.
And he often falls into said much larger building.
Are you saying, like, it doesn't look as impressive scale-wise?
He is, like, 90% of the time. I mean, what they use it for here is phenomenal. They cut the building that's much larger than Godzilla in half, and the top half of the building falls on Godzilla, too. That's the first time I saw what you were trying to point out. The camera shook.
Yeah.
That adds...
Adds a lot of life to it.
I was listening to, I can't remember even what film was, it was Paul Scheer's new podcast, Unspooled. Where they were talking about...
They're going through the movies I've watched.
But 2001 A Space Odyssey is the one they were talking about, and they were talking about how sad it is that monsters nowadays in film are just rows of teeth upon rows of teeth, and they were like, I think it was Cloverfield that started that with the monsters like being... I guess he's maybe talking about the smaller monsters that crawl around, but they were like, what the people who are making these movies nowadays misunderstood is it's not the scariness of the monster that sells it. It was the way that movie was shot, because Cloverfield the original Cloverfield. When I saw that in theaters, I was in high school, and my friends and I was genuinely pretty scared in the theater when they're walking through what I believe is like the sewers, and they come upon those the little ones. It's the way it's shot that you don't know where they're at. They're coming at them. They're like, and there's a lot of mystery. So,
maybe
monsters with a lot of teeth shot well, good. Monsters with a lot of teeth not shot well, they're kind of cool.
I think this is shot pretty well.
Oh, this is shot so well.
Yeah.
Just the use of lighting, because you get blues, you get reds, you get...
Yeah. The cinematography and the monster sequences are really good.
Whoever is the director of photography, good on you.
But I don't know if it's the same director of photography that does the effects work versus does the people work. I don't know.
Yeah, me neither.
This is the part where Mothra, I guess, convinces Batra to be good, which I found as a child to be a very powerful narrative.
I can see that as a kid, because now I was just a little bit confused, but it doesn't go on for too long. Mothra was downed by Batra. Batra is downed by Godzilla. Batra is on the ground next to Mothra. And, like, here's where they won the award, because Cosmos are singing and they're glowing. And...
Cool.
Mothra's simultaneously resurrecting and or brainwashing Batra into becoming, because it completely changes personalities at this point, and Batra and Mothra versus Godzilla, because even in the American title of this, Godzilla and Mothra, like the battle for Earth, it's not Godzilla versus Mothra. I just assumed that Godzilla and Mothra would team up against Batra. No, there's a twist, and Batra and Mothra take out Godzilla.
Sort of, kind of.
They at least give us a reason for why Godzilla's not continuing to attack in this film, because you and I couldn't remember why Godzilla stopped attacking at the end of the last movie, but in this movie, Mothra
he fell asleep. He fell asleep immediately,
yeah,
like I said.
That's why. Mothra creates like a force field around Godzilla, subduing him and keeping him under the water.
Did you talk about why they had to make a new suit for this movie?
It's just interesting. They were going to make a new suit no matter what, but usually what they do is they use the old suit for like scenes where the suit's going to get real torn up, like water scenes, really like grapply battle scenes. Yeah, Joe, I was going to mention this several podcasts ago. Somebody stole the suit from Godzilla versus Biollanta, at least one of the suits, and they always, for the subsequent films, end up using an old suit, so they're like, crap, we got to find this suit. I think that Toho put out a reward if people had found
it was found
suit.
At some lake.
Yeah, by an old woman. And so
it was in
damaged.
really bad condition.
They hastily repaired it enough to be good enough for those underwater shots, like in air quotes, where like, I don't know, you just don't see it as full on. Maybe it's not in like full shots, or if it is, it's not lit as well. So I'm sure if you were like an eagle-eyed viewer of these movies, you could tell the difference between the suits. Maybe they transform it enough to look like the new suit for this movie, because in any case, fans name all these suits, and there is a Bato Goji suit, which is this one. But yeah, it's just behind-the-scenes craziness.
We got some pretty cool light show going on here in this one.
The fact that Mothra's new powers
uses sparkly power
to nullify Godzilla's atomic blast.
Yes.
That was insane.
I've some
never
sort
seen
of force field thing, but then Godzilla somehow has his
pushes
own
through it
force push ability and pushes back against it, and it's really like shiny and cool. That's a cool effect.
There's so few movies up to this point that explain to us as audience members what the heck is going on with Godzilla, which makes me appreciate Godzilla 2000 so much with its regenerated G1.
G1.
That's an aspect of the last Godzilla film. I can't remember what it's called. The Godzilla animated movie that they really go into detail about. Yes, thank you, Planet of the Monsters. Yeah, that one. They explain like what's happening within Godzilla's biology, as in it's like magnetic forces in its spike, and they come up with this elaborate plan. Yeah, I like finding out about Godzilla biology. That's a cool shot. Godzilla smashes Mothra into Ferris wheel. Ferris wheel almost falls into... Everything's falling on Godzilla in this movie. Batra stops this humongous Ferris wheel from falling on top of Mothra. Batra lifts it up and carries it over to Godzilla.
Slowly flies around.
And for some reason,
and Godzilla's just like, takes it. What's going on?
What's he going to do?
And then, of course, he gets hit by the Ferris wheel.
It like crashes on top of him. He's down. Godzilla is a resilient monster. He takes a harsh beating in this movie. Oh, the reason
that's
I like
the power of nuclear energy, Drew.
That's the power of nuclear technology.
I was listening to podcasts on Chernobyl all this week.
Wow, that sounds depressing.
I mean,
informative.
It was like, it'll take 30,000 years before it's safe for humans to come in certain areas of that thing. I was like, gee.
And yet there are YouTubers or people who put their stuff up on YouTube filming themselves walking around Chernobyl,
you can go in
apples.
Certain places in it relatively safely, but there are certain sections that are like signed off.
Well, that and also like it's just been given to wildlife, so there's like roaming packs of wolves or dogs.
But like there's not enough bacteria don't survive, so trees don't rot.
It's crazy. It's like, hey,
insanity.
To tie it in with Godzilla, it's like Godzilla 2014 when they're like going off into the cordoned area of that nuclear.
Then the Germans have to get the pigs that they hunt in the mountains checked out in order to like take them, because there'll be pigs from Chernobyl
that have either bred or
like
just
wild
been there.
Pigs that will go, and then they're not able to eat the pigs.
Would they not just be able to identify them by like this one has a hoof growing out of the side of it? This one has a third eye.
I think a lot of that turns out not to be the case.
It's got tusks, like abnormally large tusks. It was in Chernobyl.
Now they're giving all they can to Godzilla. They're attacking him with sparklies and with laser eyes, laser lightning eyes.
The effects are phenomenal.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool. I mean, we are 1992 here, so things are improving.
This is the full-on point where Joe, I'm like, this is I think in Unspooled they say the invisible doobie earned, because like you just, these effects, man. Godzilla's getting, ooh, yeah.
It's a light show, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
If you're epileptic, festival. Maybe not watching this.
This would be like I can see a performer at some like Coachella, and this is in the background. I can see it. The lights are going like Godzilla. I think they use actual sparkles because like the suit is being
sparkles
covered
everywhere.
It's like covering the entire screen.
Oh yeah, there are definitely sparkles on him.
Oh yeah, and all over the ground.
You're totally right. I don't even think that's a filter. I thought that was a filter, but
it's probably a filter added in.
That
with
was
actual
a nightmare
sparkles.
to clean up.
Yep.
I'm telling you right now, that was everywhere on those workers, man.
Hey, perhaps we'll see a return of the Bato Goji suit, but there would be some glitter still on Godzilla.
Gosh. I mean, it's big grain glitter, though. Obviously, it had to stick on Godzilla to where we could see it. So it's probably like little 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch pieces of shine.
Because even the smallest of glitter really, hits the right angle.
Even the smallest of glitter,
it shows, Joe. It shows.
It can show.
This of all the films where a sentiment like that would be appropriate. Even the smallest of glitter.
Smallest of glitter. All right, so Batra is going to pick up Godzilla.
Possibly.
And then Godzilla's going to bite him in the neck, and it's going to get really gross.
Reading plots online. Ugh. Wow. They describe this as, it's gross. Godzilla's getting covered in Batra blood, which is like a gooey, greenish yellow.
It looks like mustard.
Past the hot dogs.
Wet, like just watered down mustard. Just...
Described in plot synopsis online as Godzilla bites, creating a wound in Batra, and it blasts its atomic breath through the wound.
Mm-hmm. It solders it, so that was good. That was nice.
Fine
good.
Then. Yeah, kind of him. Let me just patch that up for you.
Oh my gosh.
Due to budget constraints, end of this film cheapened slightly what was supposed to happen in the screenplay, in at least one adaptation of Godzilla vs. Bagan that this ended up being. Batra and Mothra, who are currently carrying Godzilla off into the ocean, and they will drop him into the ocean. I don't know if that was their intention, because Batra just kind of falls down and Mothra can't continue holding Godzilla up on its own.
And then Godzilla immediately falls asleep for the next movie.
Well, he's in what we're actually seeing. You get the shield that Mothra makes because of its combined powers from absorbing some powers from Batra. That's a fan thing in my head, which is what happened. In an early adaptation, they drop him on the ancient ruins of what was the Cosmos civilization, kind of a underwater Stonehenge Atlantis area.
Stonehenge.
And that area seals off Godzilla.
I kind of got some. I mean, with the light thing, I guess it was like a...
It's a combined effort from Cosmos and Mothra that, like, in an adaptation of this...
There's like a symbol in the water.
Oh, so I guess...
Up. So it's sort of I thought it was some sort of a seal. And I'm sure whatever the next movie is, they're just going to break the seal. I'm sure that'll be part of the plot.
Have you seen the next... Is it Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2? I want to say.
I have... Whatever it is, I haven't seen it. The only one I've seen...
Me neither.
In the rest of the Heisei is, as we're speaking, is Godzilla vs. Destroya.
That is the next film.
But Batra can't handle it anymore, and then both him and Godzilla fall into the ocean, and then a weird symbol comes up.
What's crazy to me is this is...
Or it doesn't come up. I guess Mothra seals it.
Joe,
and makes the symbol.
This is Ori, but I don't like Ori's poster.
You don't like this poster?
It's okay.
I thought it was a bitchin' poster.
I think it's cool, but I even like this one, which is right there, better. That's
you like the other? You like the photograph poster a little bit more?
Yeah. The full one is here on Wikizilla, but here, right there.
Yeah.
I think it's cooler. It takes live action pieces.
I like the new one. I like the Ori one.
It's just they're too straight on captured. and Mothra is like humongous. So it's cool because of that. Mothra is huge, and he dwarfs Godzilla in this Ori poster for this film.
So this is why I don't like this movie as much, Drew. Even though this is the one I've seen the most, and I have seen it. I've seen it multiple times since we started this podcast. Now I saw it once after we decided we were going to start a Godzilla podcast. It was like,
we're like, hey, I should catch some of the newer ones. I think I like that one.
No, I like this one, and I did remember liking this one. I did not remember this ending, believe it or not. And this ending where it's like, Mothra is going to go and stop a meteorite all of a sudden. And you didn't know about this, but see you later. And I just felt like it was so tacked on.
Yeah.
And it just, I didn't like it. I don't like this ending.
It's just, this ending, again, with Mothra, standalone movie. It looks just like the ending of standalone Mothra, where they're at an airport standing there.
Exactly.
And they float off. This is some bull crap. The Shobijin have just kind of been carried by people the whole movie.
Yeah.
Here they float off and fly away.
They've been carried, probably putting up in the carry-on part of the airplane when they're flying around, just like suffocating to death.
In both Mothra versus Godzilla,
people are dropping. Oh crap! There's people in there.
And Mothra, the Shobijin have what the heck? They just sparkle into Mothra's.
They fused into Mothra's
his tendrils,
pincers.
Yeah,
I don't know
the two little feelers that are next to his mouth. But the Shobijin are much cooler in the earlier films, as in they kind of they're much more. They do have a lot more movement on their own.
Yeah,
and they kind of in Mothra versus Godzilla. You remember when the evil guy is trying to find them, and they can teleport basically from place to place, around the room, and then they escape on their own, kind of.
I didn't think they were teleporting. I thought they were just hiding really well. I don't know.
I just remember them being because in Mothra versus Godzilla, when they're running ahead of the characters and they're leading them towards the people of Faroe Island, I'm like, there's no way they could run as quicker than the human size people characters. I just always think of them as psychically projecting themselves or psychically moving. They don't do that at all in this movie, and then at the end they just kind of float away. So I'm like, where were you hiding all your psychic powers?
And it seems like the family might get along a little better.
This is one of those moments that it's a happy ending, but within the moments after this film, the mother and father fight and just break it off. It lasts about 2 seconds. This daughter is happy. The husband is holding his wife and his daughter's hand.
Ex-wife.
Well, the way this film ends. And Mickey is just a gem.
And then Mothra out in space.
Hey, and in the plot synopsis for the film, that's where they say it actually goes. I mean, I take this as the Biolanta ending, where we see the big flower in space, which is that's just symbolism for the audience, right? So I was like, Mothra's not actually flying out into...
He definitely is. He's got to stop that meteor.
So it flies into space.
It flies into space, dude.
This is
you got
just
a problem with Space Moth?
I'm a fan of Japanese animated cartoons. Not a fan of this. This is getting a little too weird for me.
It should have ended with Batra dying, and then it should have just ended. This is, and it doesn't. It goes on for 10 more minutes. It's tacked on BS, but now we are actually at the ending. I do wonder how it will continue.
I as well.
I haven't seen the next one, so
they say Mickey's in every Heisei film, so I'm enjoying our recurring character. That's not fleshed out from film to film, but it's oh, hey, she's there. Oh, she's in this one too. Cool. She has a small part in this. And even though sometimes she might be with the main characters for a majority to half-ish of the film, she's just kind of there. So it's unfortunate in this film that the humans have so little to do directly with the monsters. They really are just standing there watching because, sure, they carry around the Shobijin, Cosmos, but the humans aren't doing anything to influence the monsters. In Godzilla vs. Biolanta, they're much more directly connected with the monsters, and then we have a main character who's with the military. We ended up liking him a lot, and they affect what the monsters are doing.
Yeah.
This movie,
they're pretty separate. They're hanging out with the Cosmos,
separate.
and that's about it.
Yeah, so the Cosmos end up doing some stuff.
Yeah, and all that stuff would have happened without the main characters anyway. There would have been a fight between the monsters, and then they would have tried to go stop a meteor.
One final sentiment that we have to mention, because that ending scene of the departing Mothra and Cosmos so mirrors that original Mothra ending. Joe, we loved that I don't think that Mothra really shows off its wing beating like wind attack in this movie.
No.
It was all over in the original Mothra, but we still have to say that I guess Mothra turned off its
wind power, yeah.
for that one moment so that it doesn't kill everybody at that airport since it's so close to them.
The next movie is Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2.
2.
Which you have, right?
Yeah, 95% sure. If not, we'll get it before we have to
let me
record.
check.
Okay,
Yeah,
Joe's
it's over there somewhere.
It's over there. We got it. We got a stack of Heisei versus films.
Stuff. We got to
along with Millennium
stack
films,
of stuff.
because I always mixed up Megaguirus for a Heisei film.
It's because it comes in the packs that
Yeah.
most of the Heisei films are in. I understand.
The more we watch these movies, the more I see Toho Godzilla Collection. I think that this Toho Godzilla Collection encompasses everything past Showa, minus Shin Godzilla. Because like all the Millennium Heisei era films, I've seen them all released as the Toho Godzilla Collection. I don't know who releases that. Is it Sony Pictures? That was my guess, so I was right.
Yeah.
Sony Pictures.
All right. Well, we got a giveaway.
And we're going to give away some sci-fi classics.
Okay. We're
Giveaway
ready.
time, people.
Giveaway time.
Sci-fi classics.
Sci-fi
This
classics.
is, if I can read it, The Brain That Wouldn't Die, The Giant Gila Monster, Attack of the Giant Leeches, and The Phantom Planet. Do you want to read them all? Or?
I want to read the Patreon. So these are the people who gave to our last episode, which is Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah.
We love you guys, every one of you.
Every one of you. So thank you to Chris Britt, Tess Pattern, Martin Wright, Taylor Hensley, Joel Klingel, Melissa Carter, Jesse Salcido, Jesse Hickman, Serrano DB23, Zach Heller, Ryan Davis, Midnight Tees, Jason Poor, Chris Taylor, who I believe is a new patron, so thank you.
Yeah.
And Chris Jappert. If one of you other guys were also new, sorry. But thank you.
Thank you so much, regardless. We read those names, I get a larger sense of gratitude towards you guys. You are amazing individuals who take your time you believe in us and give us monetary compensation for what we're doing. Everyone else, you get it for free. Lucky you. Thank you, guys.
We owe about 5 people some episodes now.
We do. Wait, 3. No, sorry, 4. Because we've done 3 of them, and there are 7 people at $10 or more.
We did Chris Jappert, Jason Poor,
and Midnight Tees. So we owe 4 people, correct?
4? No, we owe 5.
Is there 8 people at $10 or more?
There's
7.
3. Oh, there are 7. Okay, so we owe 4. I'm sorry.
You're good. Is one of them... Do you have the names up?
I have the names up, but I don't want to read them in case they don't want to say who they are yet.
Okay. Guys, we love you.
But thank you.
And gals, Godzilla gals, can't forget you.
And I got to resend out some stickers because it's been a while, so I gotta update that stuff. But
okay.
I'll do it.
3.
I will do it in September when all this stuff clears up.
You give what, 5 or more get stickers?
Everybody who gives 5 or more gets stickers, or anybody who at any point gave 5 or more gives stickers. So I got to go back and go in and figure out who.
Basically, if you haven't gotten a sticker, you'll get one.
You'll get one.
We love you.
Even if you're not giving any more, I still have your stuff.
This movie will be given out in 3, 2, 1. Ayame Chiba. Thank goodness you have a address here, because I don't know that you're necessarily from here, but I think the one time we sent you something, you had an address in the States, because this is a thick little case of movies.
Yes, so Ayame, enjoy your sci-fi classics.
Yeah.
Thank you for supporting the show. And thank you, everybody, for being awesome listeners. We do have a review.
Yep.
From iTunes, which Drew says we might have read before. I don't think we have, but
I remember reading it.
Neither of us really remember reading it.
It's just it hits home. It's got a really nice compliment in there.
This is from
reading it twice can't hurt.
This is from Caboose J. Screonk. 5 stars. Definitely know their stuff. Not sure about that. I love how they look deep into the history of each film and provide a very colorful commentary every time.
Yeah, it's at least colorful, even if we don't know our stuff.
Very enjoyable and can relate a lot to these guys. I'd say it's right up there with the Kaiju Cast. 5 stars all around. Great job, guys. Keep it up.
As far as I can tell, that's the benchmark, Joe. Kaiju Cast. So we're anyone comparing us to them? Woo!
Yeah, they've been around forever,
and they're just huge.
I used to listen to them when I didn't have a Godzilla podcast.
Oh, I know it's hard to listen to a podcast that's so similar to your own because I get enough of this researching it myself.
Like, I got this. I'm good.
It was around the time the Colossal came out that I was listening to basically every other kaiju podcast, like a review of Colossal, and I listened to about 4 or 5, and then I was like, why am I doing this? This is harmful to myself. I need to expand horizons. Last thing before we head out, for us, we're recording this on the 15th. I don't know when you guys are going to get it, but July 18th.
It's a surprise, Drew. It's
July 18th, part 2 in the animated Godzilla movie trilogy. It's something like Godzilla City on the Edge of Battle.
Oh, and there was an Entertainment Weekly photo of the new Godzilla, is that right?
There's at least 2. The one was Godzilla shooting its atomic blast in the air, which, of course, fans have lovingly photoshopped into Godzilla doing its... Joe, is that not? It's from Godzilla versus Hedorah, the atomic blast flight.
Yes.
That's just... And I swear Mike Dougherty, I don't know how you say his last name, we're going to mention him a lot because he's directing this next Godzilla movie. He retweeted that image that somebody had photoshopped. Thank you for that wonderful, horrible image. The other shot, the still from the movie that I've seen, features 2 characters. Millie Bobby Brown, I believe is her name. She's Elle from Stranger Things.
I have not seen this image. So.
And the actress who played Norman Bates' mother in Bates Motel, she's a phenomenal actress. So is Millie Bobby Brown, I believe is her name. So, and they're both in like...
Bryan Cranston? No, not returning for this one?
He died a little bit. He kind of...
Spoilers!
Still, he dies so suddenly and so like without thought that I would not be surprised if they were like, it was a cover-up.
I listened to him in an interview where he was
he knew too much.
I don't like that part of the script, but, I did the movie anyway. He didn't like how he was dying.
Someday we'll do our commentary over Godzilla 2014. My opinion... His son should have died, and he should have been taking the place of the son.
Dare you?
The film would have been much better acted.
Speaking of nuclear accidents.
Oh, yeah, I know. That's what I mentioned when you were talking about Chernobyl.
That area crap is scary.
Mm-hmm. But it's all a cover-up in Godzilla 2014.
Oh, man. That nuclear stuff is terrifying. Just like immediate thyroid cancer as far as I...
Immediate, all forms of cancer. Yeah. Do you have any other Godzilla news? That's
all I got,
believe
man.
G-Fest,
it's just like what you've either retweeted.
Just happened or is about to happen. So
how are we not part of that, Drew?
I've seen at least 1-2 other Godzilla podcasts that are all up in G-Fest. That would be wonderful. It should be on the bucket list someday.
But we're up at the top when you search Godzilla podcast, and somehow
yet we're here in Utah, not in New York, which I believe is where G-Fest is.
Is that where it's at?
Something like that. Isn't that where KupoCon is?
And next G-Fest, or the G-Fest that's closest to when we end the show is the one we should go to.
Yep, as like a final departure.
G-Fest. Let's see where it's at. 2018 G-Fest, July 13th through July 15th.
So this is the final day of G-Fest.
Today is the last day of G-Fest.
All the people I follow on Twitter, a lot of G-Fest. Joe's mic acting erratically.
It's there's a poltergeist in this room.
Yeah, I don't know much about it. I know they always have, obviously lots of fans, but they get really... I believe Haruo Nakajima was there before his, passing. All right, that was it. Keep it G. That ends the podcast. We love you guys.
Do you want to say keep it G again? Because you said it in a weird spot.
Keep it G.